Back. I should really put this into the old stand first, but what can you do? The poor old rod bag's in bad shape. How's it going, everyone? Said I'd stick on the old live section while I'm getting the rods ready. A bit late in the tide, but sure when's that ever stopped us before. Oh. Hopefully flounders and bass today, but realistically anything. Just for a bit of fun, really. The weather is unreal and it's supposed to break tomorrow. Storm Aiden coming in. So if you know any Aidens, give them plenty of grief over it. Now the weather has been dire here the last week. Not sure if you're able to hear me too good, but the weather's been brutal altogether. And it's raining very heavily, so I'm not expecting too much today. I just picked up a few crabs, a bit of bait while the weather was good. And it's supposed to go rotten again tomorrow, so hopefully you can get a few fish. Or any fish. It's very dirty looking at the moment. So it is. No traces or anything, so it's a bit of a potluck kind of a session. So it is. That looks like it can do it. Everything's just thrown into the box very professionally. Till I had no scissors there for a minute. I'm going to get a bait out and I'm going to have a look at all the comments then, so see, it's going to get right cold in a while. It's going to get a really fast bait out, so I'm going to use a couple of crab's claws and just a couple of lugs. Last minute job for the crabs, so they're a bit harder than I'd like. But for that we have the pliers. We're back in the lockdown section in Ireland and Wales as well, I believe. Northern Ireland is not too far off of it. But I'm going to try to get some fishing done again during these lockdowns, if I can at all. So I'm going to go with a simple bait for the first one, which is a lug tip with a crab's leg. I didn't realise the tide was after coming so much, so I might have to move up onto the top bank here. It's a simple bait. Should do if there's a flounder around. again, I'm not overly confident today because there was a lot of fresh water in the area. But sure, we'll see. Certainly catch nothing at home anyway. It's a very simple bait. Oh, bring the cloth. We're ready to go. Under 5 minutes. Not a bad setup time. If I tighten the reel, it might be beneficial. Now it looks like there might be a fair amount of weed in the water as well, so that's going to make things a bit more exciting. Crap, escaped out of my bucket already. I got myself set up a bit better here now. Just bear with me. So, how's it going, everyone? Let's back up. Oh, it's hold on a second, I'm having some issues. Right, now we're laughing. I'll get you lads on the rod, juicy. Try and get it set. I said no, I'll just get this a bit more adjusting here now. Romanus, how's it going? No rats in it yet, brilliant. Luke, how's things? Paul, Jack, how's it going? Hopefully a flounder and a bass. I'm not overly confident, so any one of the two would be deadly. It's just good to be out. Finn, I doubt there's going to be any stingers around. Patrick, how's it going? Paul? It's unreal here, Paul, at the minute. But I said the last week has been just brutal altogether. No interest in anybody going anywhere. It's been so bad. But hopefully now we're going to get a day of this, and I think we're in for thunder showers and all sorts tomorrow and the day after. So kind of a make the most of it kind of a day. So it is. Phil, how's it going? But yeah, hopefully, like I said, anything will be good. I'm not overly confident, so I am. But like I said, I had to take advantage. If the weather's going to, if the weather stays like it is now in the morning, I'm going to try and get the spinning rod out with the bombarda and have a go for a few of the mullet that are in the canal across the way, just for a bit of fun. But it's far too dirty at the moment here. I just hope the weed situation isn't so bad. But I'm not too sure what the restrictions are like in your area, but it's safe to say nearly everywhere has got some sort of restrictions at the moment, which is a nightmare for everybody. But what can we do? I just hope that the guys that spent the last lockdown making rigs got to actually use a few of them. Lots of funny looks when you're talking to your own camera. Ray, how's it going, Alan? Paul, I don't know how long I'm going to manage it. It's not bad now at the moment, but I'd say it's going to get real cold here soon enough. Eric Gasparo, back at it again. They must have banned you off the bike, did they? Any luck for you? Now, if these comments would stay on the screen, it'd make my life easier. This is just Blennerville, a nice handy spot close to home. So it is. It's only about 2 kilometres from home. Alicia, you're spot on. You can see the windmill just on the right hand side of the rod stand there. I don't know, there's obviously been a few people fishing here. Jeez, would you ever think that you were getting plagued by mackerel in November or October even, what am I about? I heard there's a few around here, alright, so I'm hoping to get out, get a couple, but it's unlikely now at this stage. Got a good few herring actually the last time I was out for mackerel, which was a bit disappointing, but didn't use them down in Knightstown in the last one and did very well, so who knows. The wolf toad's the only one I'd say that's around. Martin McGowan might be doing Click and Collect, the angling hub in Tralee, so if you wanted to give him a shout, he might have some worm, but I don't know for sure. So I don't. And I know a lot of the lads that do the digging can't get to the beds at the moment. Mr. Boot, I'm glad to hear it. Geez, we had some bad weather last week, so we did. So I'm hoping for a couple of fish, but I'm not massively confident, I won't lie to you. Alicia, yeah, if you look back over the channel, there's a couple of the live streams we done during the last lockdown that were very successful altogether, flounders and bass and things, but it doesn't go very well after periods of heavy rain, so, and you have to have a bit of a tolerance for the old rats. And I'd say the place, Ancient, was probably full of bass at the moment. I would love to be getting back there. I actually have to do a bit of work back that direction next week, so I do have a few lugs got just in case for my lunchtime. Sure, we'll never know. Hopefully this lockdown doesn't last as long as they're saying. Get a second rig ready now here. The hooks and that flapper, it's actually one that I'm guessing I made for the bass, because the hooks are slightly big on it, but like I said, this was a last minute job, so I can't complain too much, so I can't. Just going through the box here, see can I find a couple of rigs that are more suitable. It's in an awful mess, so it is. Found a kind of an identical rig to have to do the trick. It's the one day that you're hoping that you don't get a big fish, because I've definitely used hooks before. But it is great to be back out, getting a bit of fishing done. I would like to have been a bit more prepared, but at the same time, if I was at home tying rigs and with the weather that's forecast for tomorrow, I'd be highly disappointed to have missed out. Now I've got size 1 hooks on, which is a bit big for this area, although you do get some good sized fish here, usually when it's full of fresh. Now a couple of better baits there now, so we'll change up the trace straight away. Other baits actually lasted quite well, so it's a good enough sign. There's not a lot of crab around, but also the fact there's no fish on it isn't fantastic. But I'm going to I'll get this cast out and I'll show you a bit of the scenery. Now, let's step back out again, tighten it up a bit. So we're back in Blennerville again. You can see the old windmill right in front of us. Swing around. As you can see, the tide is nice and high. That's out as far as Phoenix there in the distance. Looking well. The Brandon Mountains. So there's Phoenix just here. Brandon Mountains here. The spa, we might give that a go next week, but the signal is always fairly poor below there. So it is. And obviously the place has been a bit more, you can see someone's built a little shelter. So it's handy. So let's see a couple of those. That's the Yuki Sublime. I'll tighten it up a bit there now. It's one of the main things I like about it is the tip. It's a hybrid tip on it, and it takes the tide really well. Now the last time I was doing the live streams, I had a higher tripod, so I was able to see the comments way easier. But yeah, hopefully the wind doesn't affect us too badly. And obviously hopefully there's a few fish, but who knows. If I could only use 3 rigs for the rest of my fishing, what would they be? Ooh, that's a tight one. I suppose for the rays, it's very simple. One hook, or you can make a pennel out of it as well if you want. I find that very good. For the rays, I really like it. So that'd have to be one of them. And all my pleasure fishing is a 2-hook flapper, usually, because we don't need a whole pile of distance a lot of the time here. Just change the hooks, and any competition you should always use as maximum hooks as you're allowed. So that's 3 hooks, so probably a 3-hook flapper would have to definitely be in there as well. Brendan, no battle bike required at the moment, thank God. We're allowed to drive as far as as far as our 5 kilometers if necessary. The battle bike needs a bit of TLC. It was kind of neglected, and the last time when it got nearly taken by the tide, it didn't get a lot of TLC afterwards, so the battle bike is fairly sick. I see a whole raft of battle bikes coming into play in Wales lately. Going to use slightly different bait the next one. 3 lugs. They're only small lugs, but like I said, one of the main problems with fishing this area over high water is the channels obviously fill with water, and the fish tend to disperse out over the banks and things like that. So it's often harder to get to find the fish really. So I'm fishing just on the edge of the channel at the moment, I think, just going off of memory. So I'm going to chance that for 1 or 2. I'm going to try a bit further with the next one if we don't get anything in this one. But I'm not sure who commented there that their boulders look like rat territory. They 100% are rat territory. There's 2 lovely dogs here now. James, how's it going? This second cast only, not expecting a whole pile. So I'm not, like I said, there's an awful lot of fresh water after the rain the last week. So I'm only hoping to wet a line really. I'm not overly expectant of a few fish. I know there's a lot of claustrophobia going on with people, so I said I know live stream wouldn't go astray. Melvin, nothing biting yet. It's yeah, it's poor enough. Bass Blanker. Yeah, I'm afraid earlier on in the year though, this is a far better area to fish. So it is, rather than after a big load of rain like we've had. But sure, we'll give it an hour anyway. Eric, man, I'm afraid I don't think fungi's come around this way somehow. But wouldn't it be unbelievable if he had? I heard, I was back in Dingle actually, and I met Stephen Brennan inside the cafe, and he said that there had been a lot of humpbacks and a massive shoal of dolphins or pod of dolphins at the mouth of the harbour. Massive feeding frenzy in Dingle, and then a few days later fungi disappeared. So I suppose it is possible. I'd be worried about there being a big fight or something like that, a territorial fighter, and he was no spring chicken, so I just wonder. Of course there's also the possibility that he's gone jocking, which would be deadly, but who knows. But one thing's for sure, it's going to be some hit to the local economy back there. So it is, because there was millions invested in him. Just the Bristol Channel, I only ever managed to fish it once. We fished the Penn final in, what was the name of it? There's a big steep boulder beach really. Filthy dirty ground outside us. Bossington Beach it was. One single huss won it. It was dire, so it was. Cracker of a day. Bossington is right. My God, what a walk. Of course, if we had gone the right direction, we wouldn't have had to walk so far. But carrying all those leads down there was absolutely crippling. So it was. I was kind of half happy to lose a pile of them. But who knows. I would like to fish the Bristol Channel Big T, you're absolutely right there. And I think that, like I said, the weather is supposed to go absolutely dire tomorrow. So it is. Is there any of you lads do a bit of duck hunting? I don't think I can zoom in on this. Hold on, I might be able to. If there's any duck hunters on the video. There's a few bees over there chilling. Try to get back there now to. Oh, typical. There we are. Johnny Bale, how's it going? Barrow, I have to say, no, I'm not familiar with a lot of the marks in the Bristol Channel, but I would love to get back on those blonde rays. Well, get back on them, get a go at them anytime. They look huge. The taupe fishing as well around there. Martin, how's it going? No, I don't think even on the best day that you could hope for a cod around here. Unfortunately, the water isn't deep at all. Maybe 10 foot might be the maximum we'd get here. So it is. We're away up the estuary altogether. Although one of the place where I had the taupe, there was some codling there the last couple of years, but again, not overly confident. But again, certainly better than being at home. Big thanks to Aidan as well. I gave him a quick shout. I think 196 was the most. Brendan, I did actually say that. Yeah, there shouldn't have been stingers up here either, to be fair. Turpkilla, flounders and bass is the main plan, but anything at all is also the plan. Melvin, I'd say this fresh water will really affect it here now. I didn't see any signs of fish along the way, and usually on the right hand side of the camera there, along the path, you can see a good few mullet moving and things, especially on a calm day like this. But there doesn't seem to be anything. Like, it was absolutely glorious a while ago when I was digging the few worms. But as I was saying there, there's 45 watching at the moment. I think 196 was the most I ever managed to get on a live stream. But I think I'd have to have a bit better timing, and possibly the rest of the UK go into lockdown as well for that to happen. But you never know. Do you know what? It probably might be something to think about. I am going to try with the Bombard afloat in the morning, if I'm up before the weather. But I've been on the early shift all week, so there should be no bother getting up early, hopefully. And I did dig a few maddies as well, so I'm spoiled for choice on the bait side of things. I just need a fish now to realise that we're here. Which would be nice. Paul, geez, yeah, I saw that lad Garrett Griffiths. He's had some fishing, and Dean Booker as well, and a few other lads. Some unbelievable ray fishing for the blondes, and they're huge as well. Brendan, that's just bullying. So there isn't. I did bring the second rod to set up, but I don't know, is it even worth it? I'm hoping. I was talking to a guy in work the last day who fished for years upon years in along the bay, and he fished the south side of the bay, which would be under the mountains, for a long number of years. and he gave me a few marks, and I got permission to go down through a few areas, so that I didn't know before existed even. So I'm hoping to do a bit of exploring, and if the weather kind of goes anyway easy next week, maybe get out again and do a bit of exploring along a few of those marks. Now I don't know what they're going to be like, but like he did say that night fishing was best there. So if this rain doesn't keep up and it does clear off, I could get some real good fishing in, or some fishing at all. The lights as well. I don't know if anyone saw the night fishing on the pier. That just a short video just to check out how the lights were, and it really went well off the back of the Jeep. So who knows? I think I'll get a fresh bait out again. The horrible feeling when you just reel up and it just pulls straight out and there's no extra weight or anything. It's certainly a bad sign that there's no damage being done to the baits. Sure. You would be expecting there to be some crab action on them. So you would. Give this one a bit more of a thump now out into the channel, hopefully. So I do love about this rod is you can flick it out if you want to, but if you want to wallop it, you really can as well. I'll show you the tip there now, a bit more pressure on it. You know, Brendan there that was on, he's out over the east coast of Ireland. It's where home is, but that rod is super for I think places like that where there's a big tide rip and you can just sit it into the flow, and then when the waves are hitting it, it's not knocking it off or knocking the lead out. So you can really, especially the pegged matches, it doesn't really come into effect when you're fishing a rover because you can just make a bit of space around you, but when you're on the pegged matches, I think it's great to be able to fish without it bouncing all the way down and then you're going over and under people, and that's really head wrecking. Grant, you're not getting it. Look, this is the problem. Loads of this stuff in the water covering the bait. Yeah, I think this is like a one day only type thing that we're going to get here, but it's definitely the wrong time to be fishing this place. But when you have a bit of bait, you can't exactly sit at home. Go back to the old lug and crab combo, add a bit of scent hopefully. You just never know. I said it certainly beats being at work or at home. I think it's like when you're taking the nudie selfies, Brendan, you have to get the angles right. It is a quite thin butt section, to be honest about it. The other leg of the tripod is just behind it, so it's adding a second up. See you are. But it's all about the angle, I think, there now. Just say for anybody that's around here, Yeah, tin angles are much tougher to figure out. There are the beaches. But yeah, Inch at the moment should have plenty of bass on it. That's where I'd be going now if I had the time. So I would. The Cork beaches should be getting really good now. So it should. The likes of Youghal, Slob Bank should have the cod starting to arrive. We'd usually be making our trip down. There's a couple of guys from Kerry that usually go down for the weekend. They always have good cod fishing around the end of November, or the end of October, start of November. So we were due to have our 2-day festival down in Waterville, which is a brilliant competition as well for anybody interested. But like everything else, it's fallen by the wayside, unfortunately. But definitely, if I had my way now, like Andy said there, Inch has a surf cam and you can watch it, which is makes you a bit jealous. It makes me a bit jealous anyway of anybody living close to it. There, yeah, there seem to be a lot of dogs around at the moment. I'm not too sure exactly why that is. They used to be very, very prevalent, but the last few months, or the last month I suppose, it seems that there's a lot of doggies around. One of the lads had, I think he'd 7 or 8 during the day on Derrymore, just kind of messing around, trying for a late ray. So it's good to see though. It's nice to get a few fish. Like, lots of guys hate the doggies and stuff, but I have to say I don't mind catching them. So I don't, especially in the competitions. You always love to see a doggy coming in. So you do, or so I do anyway. I think I'm one of the few that really like catching dogs. The only thing about the dogs that feed it though, when you're trying for the rays and things, they're head wrecking. So they are. But it's anybody else been out or doing any bit of fishing? It's just starting to get cold now. You can feel the sun is starting to dip. A lot of people looking at me funny, more than usual. Bass Blanco, I haven't met Chris now in a good bit, but he was fishing away. He was actually away last year for the first time, I'd say ever, for the 2-day. But like everything, the club down in Waterville, the guys lost interest and became complicated, to keep things going. And it's a lot. Chris was doing an awful lot of the work himself, like, which wasn't right at all. So it wasn't. So he's taking a well-earned break. Paul, how are you getting on? It's just a bit of fun. Like I said, this was an impromptu. I really shouldn't have probably bothered coming up here, but like I said, it's better than being at home. And there is talk of chicken and mushroom vol au vents for dinner, so like, how can that be a bad thing? I'm not, like I said already about 4 or 5 times, not massively confident. Yeah, that was a funny situation with Kevin and Chris. I suppose that's the way things go, isn't it? Sometimes lads fall out over the smallest of things. It's a pity. But certainly a great loss to the area. Like, some super fishing down there. We were actually supposed to fish in Reen Row on the 24th of this month, so it would have been the weekend just gone by. And I heard that there was a good few fish in the area, so it would have been unreal, I think, to get a competition on down there. But like I said, typical bad luck this year for everybody. But it's certainly an amazing area. I said Lamb's Head and all the areas in South Kerry, they're class. Like, I've only fished a handful of spots down there, but it's a place that you could spend a long time fishing and not fish at all. Niall, yeah, well, I hope that you're enjoying it. It's usually a lot more productive venue. Like I said, it could be very good if if there hadn't been so much rain in the last week and we weren't so close to high water. I think it's pretty much dead on high water at the moment. So this place always fishes well when there's a bit of a run on the water. So it does. So oh, and yeah, I fished a pier in Tarbert a good few times. It's a good old spot. Actually, Brendan there that was commenting, he'd know just nearly every spot, I suppose, up around that direction. So he would. That's actually the Yuki Sublime, Dan. I did bring the sensitive with me, but I didn't bother. It seems a waste to take out a rod for the first day in an area that you're not very confident of getting a few fish. So it does. But I'd say unreal. Like, I'd love to get a go on the schoolies and things like that with it. But there's a couple of marks that I want to try out that are close enough that should bring that kind of fishing. So they should. Oh, give me 2 seconds there, mate. Sorry, there, to do a bit of adjusting. As you were saying there, then that's the A6. You can see the tip on it is crazy light, but it'd be a shame. I love the way that it's got the single legs. It's always a good sign for me for a sensitive rod. Ideal for flicking maddies, like you said. The likes of inch now, especially this time of year when the flounders are feeding hard and the schoolies are feeding as well. I'd really like to be getting out there, but like I said, it's not to be at the moment. There's a couple of places close by that we can manage it. I did dig about 100 maddies there today, so I'm going to give a go, like I said, with the Bombarda in the morning if I can, if the weather doesn't come in too early, and see how that goes. Do you know what? I'm not going to catch it. Give me something to do, won't it? Problem with putting anything down the ground here is you just don't know what's been crawling along it just before you, or scurrying, as the case may be. It's definitely the wrong stuff for that, but oh, sorry guys. Amateur. Serious pressure on the new rod here now, on the debut. It's a really nice rod. It's really light. That's the new one. Now the line is not the right line for this, but we'll just flick it out a couple of yards and see how it goes. I did see a trace there now, to be nearly slightly. I think Paul, and I think everybody that's watching can agree, that anybody who's bought a new rod should be allowed out to fish with it. Not all the time, but during the lockdown there should be special rules in place for lads that have got new rods. If I'm ever in charge, first thing, get that sorted. Kevin, what part of the world are you in again, man? This rig is a bit, this is a rig I use for flounders in the surf. But, you never know, I might pick up an old eel here tonight. James, did it arrive? You'll have to remeasure the distance across the Ballybunion from Listowel. I think it's around 5 kilometres ish. We'll flick this one just outside the weeds now. Myself and James are part of the two-man team for the Tralee Bay. It was a random pick out of the hat. So I had a good showing on Ventry the first day, but James is working unfortunately. But James has pulled it out of the bag the last two. So there's one more to go. We need a big showing on the pier, which is a good spot for James, but traditionally not fantastic for me. So I'm going to have to do a bit of practicing, I think. Stabbed. On the light rigs, that's not at all suitable for this place. Yeah, so I think some of the weather that's coming for us the next couple of days is going to be less than fun. There's a bit of weed just on the line there now. I thought I was after picking up an old bite, but no such luck. Right. I'll go in front of that other rod now so you can see how it looks. Trace is far too long for this place. Good start. Tangle the snoot before you even cast. Just that got very bad very quickly there now, so it did. Right, we're free. As you can see, the other bit of weed is picked up quite severely. Just sit nicely outside the weeds there now. You can see there's a bit more, obviously the weed is on it now, but you can see the way the tip goes. So I really like it, to be honest though. Tide's starting to rip through now on the drop, and there's a lot of weed. It's obviously after lifting it up off the banks. We're close with that one now, just for just to see is there any old bass along the edge of the weeds. I'll give you a close-up of the A6 now. I'll put it up on the stand, I think. Is it fair? So it's got the, obviously the boat. It's got that kind of pattern weaved in it, which is pretty cool. You can see it's got a really nice tip on it as well. Get a bit more into the profile there. But ideal for flounders, bass, that kind of stuff, which is 90% of the fishing that we have down around here. But like I said, the sun is starting to drop and it is getting cold. So I don't know how much longer we're going to last. Because as I said, you can see the water there now. It's starting to strip very quickly. Calvin, not a thing. I don't think there's any. So I probably just have to go fishing tomorrow to christen it. But I should say that they are obviously, as part of the Yuki Pro staff, they were sent to me. So full disclosure, I didn't pay for those rods, which is unreal. But yeah, the weed is really starting to move through there now. And the only problem is anything that's moving that way is going to be coming from up the estuary, which is going to be weed and fresh water. It's a bad combo. The Isle of Wight. Jeez, I heard you had a bit of crack off the Isle of Wight the last day. With that tanker. I just said not following you there, Dan, with the single post. I didn't get you there, but yeah, the range, the A range. I can't believe the quality of them for the price. You know, obviously they go up to a bit more expensive, but like the A1 is super cheap. So it is. I'd say it'll have to be early, Brendan, if it is at all possible. I'm going to try over in the canal. Although the father was there for... Oh, yes. I do like those, the single leg. Sorry, I didn't get you there for a second. Yeah, just I heard the helicopters were out and everything. It seemed there were a couple of guys seriously celebrating the tanker, the guys in the armed forces, but it seemed like a bit of an unfair fight. A couple of stowaways versus the British Empire, but sure, look, what can you do? Who would have thought that pirates was going to be happening in 2020 as well, off the coast? Paul, yeah, the A6, that's I had a choice of any of the A range, and I asked for the A6 sensitive, so that I'd be able to fish the kind of heavier rod and the lighter rod together. I said hopefully there'd be a few dogs just a bit further out the bay, and inside my distance as well, so hopefully I'll be able to get there in the next few days. Like I said, the weather tomorrow and the day after is supposed to be just mental altogether. So I'd be keen to avoid a lot of that weather, to be honest. Kevin, no rats feeding yet. I am nervous though. There's a lot of this stuff has blown up on the... So that's just going to be rat central, really, isn't it? Like I said, for anyone joining late, somebody has gone to the trouble of building this little hut. I'm assuming their rain gear has given up on them. With the sun behind us, anyone watch your eyes, it's going to get bright. Stephen, how's it going? I said I'm not overly hopeful, but it was too good an opportunity to give up, so it was. But it did look a lot clearer over in the other spot. I was digging a few lugs over here earlier, and the water did look nice and clear. But that wind now is coming, it's southeasterly. So I've a multitude of excuses thought up. Anyone who cares to go back over to surely get 6 or 7 excuses. But yeah, that's where I would have liked to go today, out to Phoenix for an hour or two, just to christen the new ride and the dabs and things like that. But you never know. Brendan, I don't think I did well on the ball, one of them. Yeah, Kevin, to be honest about it, there's definitely loads of rats inside there. I heard a bit of movement a while ago. So if ever I randomly go silent, it's because I'm convinced there's a rat right behind me. Like, that's just rat central there. It's just no fun. I think one of the times that the spa didn't go to plan, and I wouldn't mind, the time the spa didn't go to plan, the lads had been there the day before, and I think they had 8 or 9 thornbacks, and the colour just completely dropped out of it. So that was disappointing. You can see the rafts of weed there now that are starting to go through. But it's definitely nice to be out, that's for sure. Yeah, so hopefully now with this lockdown, I think we have 5 more weeks of it. Hopefully it'll be reviewed after the after that time, or after the 4 weeks is the plan, I think. Give a climb up here and show you around the place. But hopefully it'll calm down after that, and the numbers seem to be going in the right direction. But sure, who knows? Like, oh man, oh, Dan, I don't know about that now. I don't think I'd be able for that. I do keep a bottle of water in the car for whenever I fish this area. So I do. But on the other side of that, that's like a kind of a little peninsula there. That's supposed to be pretty good. Well, that's another place that I'm hopefully going to have a go at. As you can see, it's a high tide here now today. But it is dropping off. Usually on the edge of that, you can see the band of weed just outside. Get some nice bass kind of patrolling there. But again, the water it seems to be clear, but it's got that dirty, silty looking colour in it. So, a lot of rainwater there. It's funny how you can see how the channel kind of swings out over here. But all in all, it wasn't an awful... See, I have to see that comment again about the rat on Ballyhack. I just don't know about that. A lot of energy drinks needed here. So, this is the great pity about these areas, is when when it does flood, and that's an absolute disaster. Although there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and no, like you would say, sometimes there was a few naggins of vodka as well dumped around the place, but energy drinks but no vodka is a bad job. For any of you interested in the agriculture, this is a bad sign when you're starting looking at cows during the live stream. Yeah, I don't see any broken bits though around the place. Should never know though.